All right, I've heard about these stoves. This one's by Toogoo. I got it off Amazon and it was like $19.54. I've read reviews on these and they were some rather hideous reviews. I thought, man, it really can't be that bad. Well, I should never say stuff like that or think it, because this came in this box. It was packed a little different. The only thing that it had around it was another box that this fit down into that hardly left an air gap. No padding, no nothing. So on the outside of that, you can tell it got rather shacked out. This is your bottom ring, and I think this is actually packed on top. This is a stabilization ring. But when it came in, had a great big dent in the bottom, which makes everything fit kind of tight. Their cap is kind of a joke, especially when you're dealing with kerosene and whatnot. I'd rather have a screw-in cap that was somewhat sealed. We're going to see how this goes. I kind of tend to want to take it out in the middle of the road where there isn't anything real flammable around. Okay, this is the first burn. I've just basically kind of put it together, brought it out. It's an 8-burner cook stove, runs on kerosene. It uses basically what looks like mop cord, the old style mop that for wicks. There's 8 of them around. They're adjustable. Then that's the one thing you're gonna have to do is adjust them down to where the tallest one is at the height right there, and kind of pull it up and pull the short ones up to match it to where they're all pretty close. That'll keep your flame somewhat decent. To replace these, all you have to do is just slip a new one up in there, tighten it up. It fits into this it's got like kind of sort of threads on there. And I can tell you right now, don't turn it very much once you get it locked in there, because you can pop it, blow it right past without any hassle at all. I didn't even work at it hard to do it. See, there's some more damage. That's not quite straight. It's kind of off. It's real high over here, real low. It's made they said it's the way it's put together. It's made to use with a flat bottom pan or a round bottom pan, which tells me they're considering a wok, which I don't know if you'd actually get one in there. You might with the fire ring, but we'll have to see. Okay, on top of that, and all this stuff, remember, is really, really thin. I can smash this stuff without too much of a hassle. So you got to be kind of careful with it. I'm surprised it didn't get fragged out on the way here. That sits in the center, goes around it, and this thing you'll have to adjust because it will not be round, because it's supposed to sit right inside this lip right here. So to get it in there, you'll have to adjust it, bend it around a little bit. Same way with this inner bit. Make sure everything's in there kind of straight. Once you get that, you can take and put this in, make sure all your wicks are in the tank. Pop it past your, there you go. I like that off to the side away from the filler. Put this back on, and that's basically setting up the stove. Then you can set your pot on top, and this is a gallon pot, so it'll take a fair sized pot. You won't be able to cook. This is more like a family stove or something along that line. You will not be able to put a small one on it unless you put a screen or a grate on top. As you can see, like I said, that's a gallon pot and it's good size, but you can tell how much this is pushed off and raised. Like I said, granted it was 20 bucks, but even still, they've got to be, almost looks like it was put together by a blind monkey. All right, this is the model 168. They make, looks like 6 models according to this. It's a bit over a pound. It says 0.55 kilograms, 2.2 pounds per kilogram. The tank capacity is a liter. Mine's somewhat less because of the big ass dent in the bottom. It burns 0.15 liters per hour, and that'll give it a 6 2/3 hour burn time. Again, mine's considerably less because of the dent in the bottom. And I pushed some of it out, so it was worse. That looks to be about, let's see, the dimensions are, I'm not converting that real fast, but 17.5 by 19 centimeters. Yeah, well, all right. That being what it is, and they actually sent some extra wicking material. Again, I think they just cut apart an old mop. They had included a funnel with it. I'm not going to put a great deal of kerosene in here because if it flashes up, I don't think I need to be in the area. I don't really trust this. Since it's the first burn, we'll do it this way. And there's no way that I would use this in a pack situation. Absolutely none. I don't even know if I'd like it in the car unless I had it in a sealed container. Because you know it's going to leak because you're not going to get it all out of there. That's about all the kerosene I want in that. We'll go put the kerosene away. I'll grab a rag to clean up the little bit of spillage that I had, which will give it time to soak the wicks up. Get those down in there. Yeah, still not a fan of that cover. I'm gonna run the wicks down a little bit. We'll see how this goes. You can tell just by the sound of it, they're kind of puny. I may have to find me a different. These are new Strike Anywhere matches, the green tips. Compared to the old ones, these really suck bad. Need a wind guard out here. Okay, got a couple of them lit. As it heats up, it'll ignite more. Let's see if we can get a... Okay, they're starting to ignite as they go around. I raised the wicks all the way up so the breeze is blowing it around to where it's catching as the fuel's going up and getting hot. Starting to evaporate the fuel in there off of the wicks, and that'll ignite as it goes. Okay, it looks like they're all going, so I'll take it back down. You can see the wicks in there. And it smells like burning kerosene. This will blow some of the heat away, so it won't be as efficient as it could be out of the wind. But it is burning. hear it a little bit as the wind whips the flames. They're all burning in there, and you can definitely feel the heat. A windscreen would be a big plus. Not to completely knock this thing, you know, anything's not going to do well in this wind that we got. It's gusting pretty hard today. Typical Kansas. You can see the flames there. It's starting to pick up the fuel. I didn't fill it all the way up. But for I don't trust this thing a whole lot. They say for indoor or outdoor use, I would never run this inside. Not to mention the off-gassing, but it's just too big a risk to flash your house. For a $20 stove, it's a kerosene stove. I don't know. I really wouldn't recommend it. It's just parts of it are too flimsy. It wasn't packed well when it was shipped. Granted, yes, it's burning. Apparently it has a low fuel consumption. You know, if you're looking for a cheap backup, or a cheap backup for a backup, this would be it. Kerosene can be had. It's not stupid cheap like it used to be, but it'll run. It'll work outside. I can feel the heat off of it. In the winter, if you sat close to it, if you weren't afraid of it flashing you, because I'm still thinking that this thing might go womp. But if it don't, I'll leave it sit here and burn for a while. But if it don't, it might not be too bad. Under a $20 bill, just remember, you get what you pay for. This thing isn't straight, it isn't square, it had dents. The parts in it are light. I could twist this thing up into a ball with my hands without really trying all that hard. If you slipped and stepped on it, kicked it over, you're going to be repairing it, or it's just going to destroy it. It's not heavily built at all. It'll hold this gallon pot, but the way that's set up, the top part, any lateral push on it, I think it would bend it over. So, you know, get what you pay for. If I wasn't doing a review on it, because I couldn't believe anything would be as bad as what they said in the reviews, and the reviews really, the other written reviews that I've read really aren't all that far off or wrong. This isn't a pretty thing by any way, shape, or form. I would have never bought it. But I kind of wanted to do a review to see if it was as bad as it was. All that being said, it is working. I can feel the heat. Granted, it's hot out here, but I can feel the heat. You can see the flames coming up out of it now. It took it a few minutes to get it cranked up. The adjuster does work. I do not like that cap on that kerosene tank. The fact that it was, the packaging on it was pure crap. And the material, if they build it heavy, a little heavier materials and watch their assembly techniques a little more, this would be a nice little stove. Even if it costs a little more money, it wouldn't be bad. The design, there isn't really anything wrong with the design. It's the workmanship that I'm having issues with. I would prefer to see a sort of a seal in between the burner and the tank, and a cap that actually seals. But otherwise, it does work, and like I said, as a backup for a backup for a backup, maybe, you know, something like that. Or if you need a cheap stove for if you're prepping or things along that line, and you honestly are doing it just to make yourself feel better and don't plan on using this every day, it might be okay. But I'll rely on some of my other ones first.